I'm doing terrible now. I started on this like 2 months ago because it takes 30 days to get a doctor's appointment and 30 days to schedule the surgery. I should have started 4 months ago because I was doing pretty good a couple months ago. And it's amazing how fast it deteriorates. What's that? Yes. We didn't do fish last Sunday?
We was at the park last Sunday.
Oh, we were at the park, that's right, yes. Okay, good.
Now this is a different one. I had mixtures.
Okay. Yeah, one for blue.
Just keep it.
There are a couple. Some of them are different.
That's okay. All right.
They're old, but I just thought maybe no, these are just things that
Okay.
That's an old
All right.
one.
All right. Okay.
I just thought they were.
Oh, I see. Basic 2018.
Because and we used to have those companies.
Yes.
And I had several left. And I
Caroline not turned on?
Yeah, just point out the one pager is what you send is what our program is. And this is just background material for the
It's like 2019.
Yeah, so you don't want to follow one pager. Some people don't have a pager. I didn't know. So, but you've got it.
I've got yours and I've got this one.
Okay.
Evidently, entropy covers even church timing.
Might be done.
Everything slows down over the course of time. Okay, welcome to First Universalist of New Madison. Fun Sunday, this Sunday. Roberta is bringing the message, and she brought the program from 2019, which matches up almost perfectly because it's Fish Sunday. And we had the meeting at with El Dorado at the shelter. Went really well. Derek gave a nice short way themselves, so I think everybody got along pretty good. But we didn't do Fish Sunday for that offering, so we're going to do our fish offering today. She's going to present a timeline or a thought line. Unitarian Universalism is an alternative religion, not an alternative to religion, which is two little pronouns there that make a big difference. And that's by UU Minister Herbert Hitchin, so we're looking forward to that. Any other announcements? Let's see, we're having our annual meeting
Next week.
next week after
And
church.
yes, next week after the service, and we will be having the annual report, finance reports, in the report we're going to talk about church closure and those kinds of things as well. I've got some new information. I have a phone conference scheduled this week with the Midwest UUA in terms of closing procedures. So hopefully I'll have even more information next week's meeting for you.
Everybody is welcome to attend that. We have the phone thing. If we can figure out how to work it, you can actually call in and listen to the conversation and contribute to the conversation if you want. We will, if anybody's interested, let us know ahead of time and we'll have that set up. Hopefully we'll be able to figure that out. Any other announcements? Okay, our prelude is, where are we? The 23rd Psalm.
We did this and it was here.
calming interpretation of the 23rd Psalm. Our chalice lighting kind of goes along with Unitarian Universalism. What is it a church? It's an actual work along with me if you read in your little program there. And we're not using the handout program. This is from 2019. We're using the one that Mike handed out. We kindle this flame as a chalice to honor the heart of a Unitarian Universalist, someone who shows strength, someone who lends a helping hand, and someone who seeks adventure. That gives you an idea of what it means to be a Universalist Unitarian. All right, our first opening hymn is 66, Summer Sun Shining. Insects in the summer evening. How many of you remember how many lightning bugs you used to see in the summer evening? Used to be clouds of them, and they're not there anymore. You see one or two or three. What is happening to our world? Okay, our affirmation is A Hard Brave Choice by Martha Durkee Neumann. Yours is printed entirely in your bulletin, but I'm not going to do that. That's way too wordy. It'll give you a background if you want to read on it, but that's not necessary. Spirit of discernment, be with us as we make hard, brave choices that lie in front of us right now. Help us to know when we lean on each other, our shared courage infinitely grows, and we can move alongside one another into the world to come. Especially with the events of yesterday, we have to make some hard choices, and we have to lean on one another. This was a quote that I thought was appropriate. This I know is where a faith is built and how, Sunday by Sunday, candle by candle, blessing by blessing, question by genuinely curious question, in safety and in love. That's from Jen Chatrick in the New World. And for a little bit of fun, I've done this before, but I get a kick out of it.
very model of a modern Unitarian. He was born Romanian, so don't call him Bulgarian. He's also not from Budapest, Ukraine, or Lithuania. He probably is the coolest thing to come from Transylvania.
I am a very model of a modern Unitarian. I'm here because I'm yes alone and not octogenarian. With 50 years attendance, I'm a fairly senior resident. Although I'm better looking, I am older than the president.
Although he's better looking, he is older than the president. Although he's better looking, he is older than the president. Although he's better looking, he is older than the president.
We're educated, cultivated, liberal, and turned gray.
We all like Shakespeare, opera, ballet, and we all drink Beaujolais.
We're all egalitarian and we're humanitarian. We are the very model of a modern Unitarian. We are the very model of a modern Unitarian. We're ethical, sustainable, and also vegetarian. If you would like to join us, it would not be so regrettable. We have a lot of recipes and some of them are edible.
We are the very models of modern Unitarians.
Our masters of theology have made us seminarians.
We never preached a nation and we don't have a confessional.
We're open and inclusive, and we're also quite professional.
We're open and inclusive and we're also quite professional. We're open and inclusive and we're also quite professional. We're open and inclusive and we're also quite professional.
We're always looking for new ways to make the world a better place.
The Utah politics ensure we often fall down on our face.
We're all egalitarian and we're humanitarian. We are the very model of a modern Unitarian.
I am the very model of a modern Unitarian. Devotion to the evidence has made me a contrarian. If you're the optimistic type, believing everything you read, consider that a friend like me is just the very thing you need.
I am the very model of a modern Unitarian. I'm coming out the closet and confessing I'm a thespian. I realize the second line does not run with the rest of it. But being gay in Utah helps you learn to make the best of it. But being gay in Utah helps you learn to make the best of it. But being gay in Utah helps you learn to make the best of it. But being gay in Utah helps you learn to make the best of it. While driving in our Priuses, NPR gives us our news.
Mind your P's and Q's, for some of us are LGBTQs. LGBTQs. Some of us are LGBT homosexuals.
And that is, and if you think about it, being a Unitarian in Utah is not so different from being a Unitarian in Dark County. It's pretty close to the same thing. Okay, children's story, we did that, and it's joys and concerns. You need to have a concern for the state of the country. Guns are everywhere, and even the people who say they like guns and want more guns and want guns everywhere now are being affected by guns. We hold no ill will toward anyone, and unfortunately there were 2 people who actually died, and the perpetrator was also killed. So that was a pretty amazing thing, and we're still kind of working our way to the bottom of that. Israel and Palestine, doesn't seem to be any movement, any improvement. Palestinians are still dying. I think the last number I heard was around 38,000. 38,000 people, some of whom, most of whom, women and children, innocent, did not deserve to die. As did the Israelis who were killed, did not deserve to die. But neither side seems to be relenting on continuing the oppression. Anything else? Yes.
I have joy.
Good.
My daughter's now moved into Michigan to support our line, and they have their house. And I got to work out for Peter this past week. So it's a 4-hour drive. I've been traveling along the way. My son has a job already, and I'm speaking with consultations with his line. So he's working out pretty good.
Yes.
How far away
Say again, please.
4 hours.
About 250 miles.
4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours. Yeah.
Which is,
That's closer to the time.
Yeah, when you get on the plane, it really turns out to be about 10 hours. And being in that current space, this allowed us to get coffee and bathroom break and still hours.
having family close is really important. My daughter and son-in-law just moved farther away. They were in Wabash, and my son-in-law is now the district minister, the district executive for the Church of the Brethren of Maryland, the Eastern District of the Church of the Brethren. So they now have a house in Delaware, which they are finding Delaware is quite a bit different than Indiana. We'll see how that turns out. Anything else?
I just make a note of the fellowship that we had last week. It was very nice to see our El Dorado friends as well. And everybody brought great food. It was just a laid-back day, perfect weather-wise. All I can say is we all had a great time, and more importantly, it was great friendship, camaraderie, fellowship, if you will. I don't know whether we mentioned last week, but let's light a candle in credit of the 4th of July Committee for Madison, Ohio. Those folks worked very hard to produce a wonderful new format weekend 4th of July celebration, ground off Saturday night with a beautiful fireworks display. That doesn't come by chance, that comes from the hard work of community-minded folks. And by gosh, we have them here in this community. Let's light a candle for them.
Yeah, they closed off the center square, and I think everybody had a really good time. And I guess we need to light a candle. We've talked about this before, but the service person who was returned from Normandy, that was pretty impressive. There was a Navy admiral here, and the Navy color guard. The loyalty and distinction that people showed this reservist, and it's not for him because he's gone, but for his family, I think they really appreciate it, and I think the community really appreciated it too. It's something that brings people together as well as the 4th of July service. So.
One of the joys of summer for me is wildflowers. I didn't go just out of my yard yesterday and saw 6 different kinds. This morning, after I got on my car, I saw 4 different kinds just from my car over across the street, 3 of them in our yard. So they're there. Sometimes they're real little.
Yep.
But they're there and they're joy to me. I love wildflowers.
Some of the ones that are actually weeds, buckhorn. If you've seen buckhorn in your yard, it grows really quick when it gets super hot and dry, but they have nice little blue flowers on the top. They're kind of decorative, even if your wife does complain about the yard looking shaggy. All right, anything else? All right, for those joys and concerns, voiced and unvoiced, thought and perhaps even unthought. Oh, I need I guess a joy and a concern. I have surgery on my hip tomorrow. I go in at 10 in the morning to Wayne Hospital. There's always a little bit of trepidation of that, particularly when you've been behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz and you know what's really going on. But it went really well 2 years ago for my other hip, so hopefully everything will be fine this time too, but I'd appreciate your thoughts on that. All right, it is time for our message. An alternative religion, not an alternative religion, not an alternative to religion. Roberta. And
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. James Ishmael Ford is an American Zen Buddhist priest and a retired Unitarian Universalist minister born in Oakland, California on July 17, 1948. He is still with us, supposedly. When fresh out of Buddhist monastery and looking for a path of integration between Christianity and Zen Buddhism, he attended a UU service and promptly fell asleep during the sermon. Can you all hear me?
yes.
When Ford worked at a bookstore in San Diego, One day, while sorting through pamphlets, he found one that denounced Kaiser Wilhelm II as the Antichrist, who is an enemy of Christ and will oppose Christ in the final days. Another pamphlet revealed that the pyramids were originally built just outside Dublin, Ireland, and were moved to Italy through a conspiracy between the Romans and the British. When reading about it, Ford also discovered a pamphlet whose cover read, quote, "On Unitarian Christianity," listing the author as William Ellery Channing. Channing was with the most prominent of the liberal wing of Congregationalist churches in New England and was called an apostle of Unitarianism. He was the leading Unitarian preacher in the United States in the early 19th century, and he served 17 years at Boston's Federal Street Church. When reading the pamphlet, Ford learned of Channing's sermon delivered in 1819 in Baltimore for the ordination of Eric Sparks, who became president of Harvard College. It's now Harvard University, and Channing's alma mater. Harvard's Jared Sparks was a UU minister, and I was interested to learn that the quarterback at Purdue is also Jared Sparks. I wonder if he is a descendant of our UU, Jared Sparks. Calvinism is the 17th century theological system of John Calvin, marked by strong emphasis on the sovereignty of God, the depravity of humankind, and the doctrine of predestination, that God has predestined us all to either salvation or damnation. The authority of the Bible as the source and norm of all life and responsibility of humanity are essential elements of Calvinistic doctrine. Christian liberals had denied much of the dominant Calvinist orthodoxy, insisting there was nothing inherently evil about human nature. They saw Jesus as a prophet whose life and teachings, not his death, were the important thing. That did not go over well with the Calvinists, and looking for the worst epithet they could hurl at the liberals, they dug up the word Unitarian, which means the rejection of the belief of a Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and acceptance of tolerant religious beliefs. Then the liberal wing said, hey, we kind of like that. Yes, we are Unitarians, and we reject the doctrine of the Trinity, but emphasize a liberal religion. Universalism is the theological doctrine that everyone will be saved. Calvinist denominations had broken from the Catholic Church in the 16th century and were picking on us liberals. So during the first quarter of the 19th century, there formed the American Unitarian Association, which is the Universalist Church of America, and somewhat later our Unitarian Universalist Association. Some of the Calvinist churches are Presbyterian, Primitive Baptist, United Church of Christ, and Protestant Reformed churches in America. As James Ishmael Ford learned, there is a large range of people who call themselves UU. There are atheists, there are Christians, Jews, Buddhists, Hindus, and pagans who call themselves UUs. And the list goes on. Also, in Baltimore in 1819, William Ellery Channing delivered the sermon, Unitarian Christianity, which became the key text for liberal religion in North America. His sermon included 5 points: the unity of God and the rejection of the Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, the importance of reason in understanding the Bible, the importance of human nature in discovering religious truth, belief in God as having a loving and parental nature, rejection of the doctrine of original or ancestral sin, which is the tendency in all human beings to sin, and is believed to have been inherited from Adam and Eve. There is the story of the scientist and Presbyterian minister Joseph Priestley, who in 1774, along with Benjamin Franklin, who was then the American representative to England, attended the first sermon in what became the English Unitarian Church. Later escaping a mob that burned his laboratory and chapel, Joseph Priestley came to America and established the first church in this country to call itself Unitarianism. It was King's Chapel in Boston in 1782. And in 1800, First Parish in Plymouth, Mass., founded by Pilgrims in 1620, also accepted a more liberal faith. As Unitarians began to emerge, so did Universalists. The Unitarians were largely from the upper classes and concerned with the ethical and social life. The Universalists were workers, farmers, and merchants. The Unitarians soon embraced Universalism, and the Universalists soon embraced Unitarianism. But they remained divided by class, that great separation. We have ongoing concerns with class and social justice, and today's spirituality is located for many in the work of social justice. Our first big challenge, as you used, was slavery. Few of our spiritual ancestors owned slaves, but many owned the ships on which slaves were transported and imported. We eventually came mostly to stand against that people. However, we didn't see African American clergy until the Baptist minister, William Jackson, crossed over to us in 1860. A modern era of African American ministerial service began in 1912, and a small but steadily growing number of clergy of color have joined our ranks. Our second great challenge was the rights of women connected with LGBTQ concerns. The first regularly ordained woman in a generally recognized denomination was Margaret Fuller, ordained a Universalist minister in 1863. Today, half our clergy are women. The first openly gay minister was James Stahl, who came out in 1969. In 2002, Sean Dennison was the first openly transgender minister to be called to serve a congregation. It was at our church in Salt Lake City. Today, we face the disaster of climate change as a spiritual issue. Many of us are focused on immigration and immigrant rights, and internally for us, the dismantling of conscious or unconscious white supremacy. Our insight into mutual dependence as a core spiritual assertion turns out to be a call to a revolution of the heart. We have two great currents that influenced who we would become that were articulated in the early 19th century by Unitarians as, quote, salvation by character, that we are what we do. A harsh and at the same time compelling message. The other is the university, quote, love over creed, rephrased as, quote, love beyond belief, by the contemporary female African-American Unitarian theologian, Reverend Dr. Thandika. Here I think we find the great intuition we call the seventh principle, which dates to the Iroquois Confederacy, dating from 1142 to 1500, and is based on the philosophy that the decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world 7 generations into the future. And for that, a challenge. The alternative religion mentioned on the bulletin cover by Herbert Hitchin, a UU minister. Our Unitarian Universalism brings a message of healing and of hope for each and every person and for our planet. We are all in this together as one family, all spiritually connected. So be it, and blessed be. Amen. Any comments or questions?
Roberta, I really appreciate that sermon. I never thought of that statement of the Unitarian Universalist Association in state alternative religion rather than an alternative to religion. I never thought first started coming to the Union Church 50 years ago. And I evolved to a theist over the years, and the UU was right there all along the way, helping me, encouraging me to work on my theology. And, so, very good. Thank you for your support.
I was struck by the observation that injustice so permeates our society. That was brought up by the question that UUs and Unitarians did not own slaves, but they invested in the ships that carried slaves.
Oh,
They probably did not even know until somebody brought it to their attention that investing in sailing ships in the 1800s was a worthwhile investment that was usually guaranteed to make money, but they did not know, or hopefully they knew later, that their ships were carrying slaves. So that's your decision, even in today's society. Things that you may invest in, things you may help out or support, may have a hidden side that you're not aware of. So it behooves all of us to be as aware as possible.
anyone else?
Roberta, I'm curious, and I think you might have spoke to it, but and for those of you who remember, what were the catalysts or what were the factors, conditions that led to Unitarian and Universalist combining? Was it economic? Was it just, hey, it's time that we're so more similar than we're different? How did that play out for those of you particularly who have been members for many years? Was there somebody that really pushed it, or it just happened? What, in the 60s was it? I don't know. Just curious.
I don't know too much about that, Mike. What I do know is that Roberta didn't touch on this in her the Universalists and Unitarians of the 40s and 50s, as we work up to early 60s when they combined, were very close in theology. So it just makes sense for them to combine. And they were compared to what I call Nicene Christians. They were very liberal, both of them were liberal theology. So it just made sense for them to join. Now that's what I know about it, but who were the people that, were the individuals, the human beings that got together and negotiated that? That I don't know. That's a good question. Now I'm encouraged to look that up, so I have an answer next time. Good question.
Thank you.
It's very possible we may find someone to do some research, and next Sunday we'll find out a little more about how they combine.
Chapter 2.
You can never pose a question to a Unitarian and expect them not to look for an answer. All right, our offering, Fish Sunday, which is a week late, but you all know how that works. Fish plate is the fish designation there. If you have something to share, please do. If you need something, please let us know. We do not give out money, but we give out assistance, advice, and steer people in the right direction. And we're hearing in the good old summertime. Alice, until we meet again, may all our hours together be blessed as this one has been, by open-hearted sharing, learning from one another, and making beautiful harmonies together. Thank you. And may we greet everyone we encounter with the same acceptance and grateful kinship. Until we meet again, blessed be. Our postlude is the Red River Valley. And our postlude picture has to have a horse, and I couldn't come up with something good for a horse, and since Roberta was talking about church, you have a horse in church.
What denomination is that, you know?
That looks like Episcopal. The only place I really saw horses in church, and looking through the history, was in England. They love their horses and they love their church. And they have, like we have the blessings of the animals, they have a blessing for the horses. There were numerous pictures of numerous horses in church, and they weren't wearing diapers either, so I thought that was pretty amazing. But also, if you've been to churches in England, it's pretty amazing. These churches were built in the 11, 12, 1300s. The times we spent there, we went to church every Sunday. The woodwork is like worn down in the pews where hands have rubbed on it for generations after generations after generations. The floors are stone, just like the cobblestones of the barns, so they wouldn't be hard to clean up. They don't have carpet. The ones we were at, nobody had carpeting, so I don't think there would be a problem. Red River Valley. We'll leave our final candle, yes. Oh, okay, we'll leave our final candle burning for those thoughts and prayers. We want to remember Israel, Ukraine. We want to remember violence in the United States. It's not just in Pennsylvania where the ex-president was shot at. If you look at the news every night in Dayton, 2, 3, 4, 5 shootings, not always dead, but there are people shooting all the time. And their only solution is we need more guns. It seems like insanity. So that candle was lit there. A special thanks to Roberta. She plays music every Sunday. She is willing to stand up in front of you and give a sermon, which was interesting and intriguing and a good start for the next one. That'll get us off on a new track. Anybody else that has an interest they would like to share, you're always welcome to come up. We'll find pictures to support you. Day-old donuts are ready and coffee is ready, so have a good week.
You know, had a pretty dang good truck.
We keep our house pretty hot, so I mean it's not this hot. With the breeze blowing, I don't block it.
What time do you sleep?
I go in at 10.
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah, tomorrow morning. Surgery's at noon, and hopefully I'll be out by 7 or 8 tomorrow night. They said if everything goes good, I'll get out. Otherwise, they're going to bring me straight tonight.
So if I call you Tuesday just to check on you, you'll be home? You're going to be home on Tuesday?
Yeah, I'll be home Tuesday, and then, home health nurse, they have all that set up. They come out Tuesday, and then they send rehab. The rehab nurse comes out and makes you do all your exercises. She'll start Wednesday. And last time, I said I can do the exercises by myself. So she came like 2 days, and I said, unless there's some reason you want to keep collecting money from Medicare, so I don't need you. So.
I just want to do a checkup on you, make sure you.
Yeah, you're always welcome to call or drop by. So, if there's a problem, I'll fly the American flag upside down.
Oh, no, Becky, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's a disgrace to the country. No. And I'll say the word please. Please do not do that.